Now, regarding this matter, your own Prime Minister at that time, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, wanted also openly that the matter should be reconsidered. But then that too was rejected, right? And then they went ahead and then they stood on their position, totally unscientific basis. That was, nowhere else in the world was this procedure followed. And this has caused a serious harm to the religious sensitivities of a community. And therefore, this even amounts to virtual hate crime, right? It is to that extent. That is why some of them are contemplating even legal action. So in that regard, therefore it is necessary for the health ministry at least to ask for a public apology. So why not at least ask for a public apology?
ප්‍රශ්නෙට පිළිතුර ලංකා කායික වෛද්‍යවරුන්ගේ සංගමය විසින් සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ වසංගත රෝග විද්‍යාඥයෙකු හා සම්බන්ධීකරණයෙන් 2020 වසරේ මාර්තු මාසයේදී සකස් කරන ලද්දකි. ප්‍රශ්නය දෙක පිළිතුර අමනුම එක මගින් දන්වා ඇත. තුන්වෙනි ප්‍රශ්නය අමනුම එක මගින් ඒ සම්බන්ධව අමුණා ඇත. මෙම ඊගා ප්‍රශ්නේ සෞඛ්‍ය සේවා අධ්‍යක්ෂක ජනරල් විසින්. පස්වෙනි ප්‍රශ්නය අදාළ ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පිළිබඳ විශේෂඥ දැනුමක් ඇති පිරිසක් මේ සඳහා පත් කිරීමට කටයුතු යොදන ලදී. ඊගා ප්‍රශ්නය ඒ සමග අමනුම දෙක මගෙන් දන්වා තිබෙනවා ඒ කරුණු ටික. ඒ වගේම ඊගාව ප්‍රශ්නේ පිළිතුර අමුණම එක මගෙන් දන්වා ඇත. ඊගාව ප්‍රශ්නයේදී පිළිතුර අදාළ විශේෂඥයන්ගෙන් සමන්විත කමිටුව මගින් පවත්වන ලද රැස්වීම හා අන්තර්ජාතික වශයෙන් එවකට අනෙකුත් රටවල් වල අනුගමනය කළ ක්‍රියාපිළිවෙත් හා කාලීනව ලෝක සෞඛ්‍ය සංවිධානය මගින් නිකුත් කරන ලද මාර්ගපදර්ශ පදනම් කරගෙන විද්‍යුත් කමිටුවේ ඒකමතික තීරණයක් මත ලංකා කායික විශේෂඥ වෛද්‍යවරුන්ගේ සංගමය හා සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයේ වසංගත රෝග විද්‍යා ඒකකයේ සකස් කරන ලදී. ඊගා ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිතුර අන්තර්ජාතික වශයෙන් පිළිගත් වෘත්තිමය නිපුණතාවයක් සහිත විද්වතුන්ගේ අදහස් නිර්දේශ සහ පළ කරන ලද ලියවිලි මත පදනම් මෙම ප්‍රකාශය නිකුත් කරන ලදී. තව ප්‍රශ්නය පැන නොනගී.
Honorable Minister,
වාර්තාවක් ලබා දෙන්නක ඒ වාර්තාව තියෙනවා මම ටේබල් කරන්න. මේක හත්වෙනි ප්‍රශ්නෙට ඔබ අහපු ඊසරේ ආපු ප්‍රශ්නේදී මං කිව්වා අවශ්‍ය කරුණු ටික ලබලා දෙන්නම් කියලා. ඒක දැන් තියෙන එක මම ටේබල් කරන්න.
Table කරන්න.
You can take it.
You table.
Yeah. So I believe.
මගේ පළවෙනි අතුරු ප්‍රශ්නය regarding this issue of World Health Organization's the basis for this clinical practice guidelines for COVID-19 suspected patients. There has been the local guidelines had not been in line with the WHO recommendations, particularly when it comes to disposal of dead bodies. You see, you have followed a totally different guideline based on an expert committee. Now, regarding this, there has been controversy from the very outset, but then all of which have been totally ignored. And you had deviating from World Health Organization's guidelines, you all have adopted your own guideline as against the entire international community. Nowhere else was such a new procedure adopted. So those who are now responsible, or rather those who are responsible, this is in line with the question I asked last time, right? Would you now at least either the health ministry must admit that it had violated the World Health Organization guidelines, or if it had followed a different procedure by being misguided, at least those people who misguided the health ministry, you must take action against them.
With regard to your both questions, with regard to deviating from the norms of the world, whatever the accepted norms and the WHO, I cannot comment right now with regard to that. But what I can comment right now is that the expert committee was appointed by the authorities that were handling at that point of time. So whether you are challenging that committee or that action of that committee is another thing which we have to deal with separately. As far as the ministry is concerned, those committees were appointed with due concerns, and I believe that they had the right to do so, because locally, if you look at, I can cite few countries, they had their own local systems in place. So as far as their right is concerned, they had the right to appoint. But if you are questioning their activities and whatever the commitments that they made, that has to be dealt separately.
Mr. Minister, my question repeatedly is this. Now, it had been openly admitted subsequently by several people, and then now, though your own ministry officials have said so, therefore, you did give an undertaking that if there was a issue like this, that you will conduct an internal inquiry. So we just want you to go ahead and conduct that inquiry and make it public. so that this matter can be put to rest.
Exactly what I said right now, because at that point in time I said I will appoint, I will do so. But the fact of the matter, this offhand I can tell you, that particular group or rather that decision was legal at that point in time because they had the right. So whether WHO has given the approval or WHO or any other international organizations work in contrary to that is another issue. Right? So as your request, you have made the request and you have said that so many people have from time to time have made various comments against what was set out at that point in time. So let me look at it, and then I have already told the DG to look into it and give us a report. But I think I might have to get a better or rather a more comprehensive committee into it because they were all professionals in it. So I just don't want to get involved with something that the professionals are given. But I'll certainly consider your request and have a very comprehensive and competent committee to make a report on that. I really do not know, honestly, whether one committee that has been approved by that time have made a commitment, and to contrary to that, to whether you can appoint another committee. That also I'll have to seek legal advice on that before I make a serious commitment on this.
The Honourable Minister, regarding this matter, your own Prime Minister at that time, Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, wanted also openly that the matter should be reconsidered. But then that too was rejected. Right? And then they went ahead and then they stood on their position, totally unscientific basis. That was, nowhere else in the world was this procedure followed. And this has caused a serious harm to the religious sensitivities of a community. And therefore, this even amounts to virtual hate crime. Right? It was to that extent. That is why some of them are contemplating even legal action. So in that regard, therefore it is necessary for the health ministry at least to ask for a public apology. So why not at least ask for a public apology?
Ask a public apology, Honourable Minister. First you need to also make an assessment as to where it had gone wrong or whether that decision is controversy to the international community or whatever. So therefore, as you know, I am extremely sensitive to this. Not that I am averse to your proposal. I will definitely look into it and look into the possibility of appointing another committee on top of it. I need to get legal advice on that before I do it, because a committee has been appointed under the patronage of the President or the executive of the country. So whether we have the right or the ministry has the right to have a separate committee on top of it to inquire into the committee that was appointed by the executive. Right? So that I need to get legal advice. Hope you will understand being a lawyer.